Hello, world, and welcome to Pardon the Politics Podcast, Season 2, Episode 5. I am your co-host, Jeezy, as always, along with my brother, my partner in politics, Manny. What's going on, my brother?
Man.
Is that how we started today?
Bro, what is happening?
I don't know. I have no clue what is going on. Well, first, before we start, I want to welcome the listeners.
Happy Black History Month, everyone. Happy Black History Month.
Here at the podcast, we would like to acknowledge, as two individuals a part of the African American community, we would like to acknowledge Black History Month. So shout out to those that are observing this month, this very short month.
Man, bro. Y'all, I legitimately don't know where I'm at today. Just because it's not stopping.
Yeah. Can we put a lid on this?
Like I have never wanted a president to just go play golf so bad.
Please.
Go play golf, go on vacation, just chill out. I think everyone just needs to chill out for a moment because no one know what's happening.
Who do we need to pay to take every single Sharpie out of the White House?
Every single one. Single one.
I need Trump to be like, give me a pen. And sir, we don't have any. What do you mean? Replace everything with a number 2 pencil.
Bro, and not just like like one of those really, really sharp number 2 that as soon as you start writing it immediately breaks again. Like the cheap ones you get from like the dollar store. Get them a box. Y'all,
no electric sharpener, that old one that's connected to the board that you
gotta get that bicep energy in too. And just really crank on it.
Once you get it to the point you need it breaks, so you gotta do it again.
Keep going. It's got that little piece of lead that's stuck in it, so yours never actually sharpens.
Yep. Because we need a pause, bro.
We need to chill, man.
We need a pause. So, well, before we jump to the episode again, welcome to those that are listening. We're so appreciative of you joining our episode 5, and we want to start off by our first topic is obviously, I'm sure you guys are aware of the devastation that has taken place. But before we talk about it, we do, as a moment of just being serious, we do want to send our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the families that have experienced this devastation that has taken place the past week. Not just what took place at Reagan National Airport, but as well as the tragedy that took place in Philadelphia a couple of days ago. So we definitely, in a moment of seriousness, we do want to acknowledge those families. I cannot imagine the pain that's going on amongst our people, our citizens, our American people that are directly or indirectly being impacted by this devastation. So I just want to say that before we jump in.
Yeah, and I frequent DC. I think we both frequent DC. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be real. Reagan is my preferred airport to fly into. It's right there into DC. Yep. You can get out, get anywhere you need to in about 5-10 minutes. But what I did not know this week is that there was a helicopter path on that approach.
Had no clue.
No clue. The learnings for me this week.
I'll tell you what, though, it is not my preferred airport as of right now. I will be going to Douglas.
Take me to Douglas.
or BWI. But
I'll ride in.
I was not aware that it was. I mean, granted, I knew that it was a busy airport because obviously, it's DC. But I did not know it had this amount of traffic, local and helicopter and military and all this. So,
but it also it makes sense. It makes sense. It's our capital. It's our capital.
It should be.
What's confusing for me, and this is me not being an aviation expert in any shape, form, or fashion, though, if that runway is so busy,
Yeah.
why do we even tempt fate
Very true.
and have that there? But I guess that's some of the questions that we'll be hearing the answers to, hopefully over the next 6 months, 2 years,
Oh yeah.
as they figure all this out.
Well, for our, for our listeners, just so you know, I'm sure that everybody is aware, but on the 29th, there was a tragic mid-air collision that occurred at Ronald Reagan National Airport, involving an American Eagle flight 5342 and a U.S. military Black Hawk helicopter. There was a total of 67 individuals aboard both aircraft that perished in the accident. So there were, from I believe at this point, it has been said that they're not expecting any survivors.
Yeah.
This is completely recovery. And I remember in real time seeing this, and I remember like again, it's weird, Manny, because I when I think about tragedies that happen in our nation, I always revert back to as a young teenager how I felt when 9/11 happened. Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
weird.
that's like our baseline
Yeah, yeah.
of tragedies. So
It,
I have two. Mine are Columbine and 9/11.
mm-hmm. I think that it always has this weird numbing feeling, like
Yeah.
kind of trying to process, is this something that's really happening right now? Because I guess we've been blessed and been fortunate as Americans that we don't really have major tragedies happen. This isn't something that I think the last time they said this happened was like 2009. They may have had an accident or something that happened. So again, it's been as time grows and time goes on, things, you start to get a little forgetful of certain tragedies, and they kind of get buried in history. So when I saw this, I remember just this numbness of like, is this really happening right now? An area that I'm very familiar with. And I remember, man, I stopped everything I was doing, and I was like, I don't think I went to bed till maybe like 1 o'clock. I just was up like, wanting information and details, because I was thinking like, is there a possibility
that this was something was afoot?
Bruh, for our 10-4 hat
tinfoil
community,
hat community.
we love y'all here at the pod, so we would dare not acknowledge you. But I was like, okay, DC, Capitol, they said it was a military, again, going back to 9/11, you start thinking stuff like this, like, was there a hijacking? Was there something, going on that was more than what it was? So
Right. And it's, again, for me, to that numbing feeling, having flown into that airport, likely that runway, as much as I've had to even piece that together. And I think anytime you fly, I think people forget when they fly, when you take off, when you land, are the most dangerous parts of flying. But it's funny, I was coming back from a trip this week, and we're landing, and as we're landing, in my head, I'm like, oh, cool, we're there. But then at this time, as we landed, in my head, I was just like, oh yeah, we're landing.
yeah.
Everyone on the plane was probably starting to process next steps as soon as they got to the airport. So this is obviously a tragedy.
Yeah.
But here's the rough part, that I think we're at a state now. Every single tragedy is going to have its political spin,
Man.
and I don't even think they pulled half of the bodies from the water before the spin engines started moving.
And there was so much that was said, and within a 24-hour period. Like, I think at the time that things started getting spun as far as political and all these things, I don't even think we were at like the 12th, 13th hour of this tragedy happening. And to your point, bodies were still being recovered, and things were going on. So So obviously, taking a step back, you know, with social media, almost real time, you got to see so much footage of what happened, what took place, and
Yeah.
people starting. So one thing you have to what you're saying, you had the political spinning that was coming, but then you had the time that we live in, and again, I go back to 9/11. We didn't have social media so prevalent. There was like immediate like spinning on the social webs of what could have happened, and this was the wild thing for me. I was seeing details not only just from people like American citizens, there was like people from other countries like speculating what
Yeah.
potentially could have been happening. And I mean, this is like real time deals of what's going on. And down to like CNN, I saw we're talking to people that were like on the highway. Like
Yeah.
it was wild, man.
And geez, I'm really thankful for you
Yeah.
staying up all this coverage, because as for being mine, I was asleep.
I can tell. I can
was
tell.
good asleep.
I was in the group chat, and I was in there. I was like that Will Smith meme with that last episode where they looked around the living room. Like I was just talking to myself. So I was like, yeah, I'm obviously more invested in this.
Man,
But somebody from the pod gotta be up to do this. Somebody. So I took the L that night.
I was good in sleep. I woke up at 6 o'clock and said, the boys were active in the chat this week.
Oh, yeah.
Last night. What happened? And I was like, let me go to the. This was wild. On top of everything else that's going on.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we can't even neglect the fact of where we already are in a whirlwind of just there's some craziness going on from every angle, and then you have something like this happen, and it just makes it even more harder to really process.
Right. And I was talking to my uncle. We were on our way somewhere, and I said, you know what? In a couple hours, they're gonna find somehow, some way to blame this on DEI. And my good sir, it took no less than 2 hours for me making that statement to my uncle. to President Trump got on the mic. And for those of you guys who may not have heard the comments, this is pretty much what he did. He got up there and he blamed the FAA's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Now,
bro,
yeah, look, y'all.
First of all, let me say this, because that really struck a chord with me. Not because of what he said. It was the time in which he said it. To what you said earlier, bodies are still being pulled out of the water. And this is the
NTSB hasn't filled out its first piece of paperwork.
Bruh, they even said it's way too early for us to know what happened, how it happened. And this is the problem that I have with President Trump. He starts out by having a moment of silence and prayer for the victim.
And that's pretty good for Trump. For Trump, just starting with that level of decorum,
perfect,
is good. Okay, we're getting better at this.
I'm thinking, right? And I don't think this is too much to ask for. And I think that no matter how you feel about Trump, whether you voted for him, whether you're not, I think that we all have a certain base level of how we should handle certain things. So when he did the moment of silence and prayer, again, A1 Trump, A1 Trump. I'm thinking that along with them saying that it's way too early to know details, we're still trying to recover bodies, I would think that he would say, while we're waiting for, more details to come, we're going to make sure that we, are empowering the people to do their job, to be able to get that. And once we have all these things together, we'll figure out what took place. It's a tragedy. It's something that, is something. This could have been a moment of him to show some type of respect, unity, to be presidential, I guess. And I don't know why I expected that, because he.
Well, that was going to be my question. I
don't know why
I'm with you on all that. Like, I would have loved for that to have been the response that our president gave. What about our president has told you that you were going to see any of that in any capacity?
I guess I just made it,
There you go.
Can it be that hard, bro? Like,
look, that mountain of hope again.
It is. You're right. You're right. Because you think that, okay, it's just that's like somebody dying. And before we found out how they died, we said, "Oh man, I'm sorry that your dad died, but I heard that so and so was behind it." You're like, wait a minute, like, how do you give me condolences and then you start playing
murder mystery?
You start playing Dick Tracy and trying to tell me what happened. Like, and that's what Trump did. Like, the people on the ground that are trying to piece this together are saying it's way too early to speculate anything. It's way too early to say or point fingers. Right now, our main focus should be recovery, and that's it. This man goes and says, "Oh yeah, man, these DEIs and." First of all, I don't even know how to even process him attributing to this. And then when they asked him, said, "Sir, what you're saying is completely false." Trump's like, what? Like, it's common sense. Like, anybody that look at it can tell what happened. Like, you mean to tell me in the darkest night over the Potomac, you saw that those people that were controlling both of those aircrafts were DEI hires?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, yep. Like, are we serious as a nation right now?
So, and this whole thing, when he called out the DEI, this caused me to go snooping for some numbers. And as of 2023, the FAA employed 44,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And alas, shall we go through their racial makeup? Approximately 12% are African American.
Okay.
Makes sense. The U.S. population's about 13%.
Yeah.
Hispanic, about 8%. Asian Pacific Islander, 6%. Native American, 1%. Others unspecified, 3%. And if you were following me and doing the math,
I believe I was, brother.
that means about 70% is a Caucasian American. So, we went and got more specific. Because I just had to know.
Yeah.
I had to know. But if we're talking about the specific role of air traffic controllers, to which there's about 18,000 across the country.
Okay.
What would you guess is the percentage of African Americans?
Out of controllers?
Yep.
I'm going to say 5%.
It's better than that.
Wow.
It's about 14%.
Oh, okay.
10% are Hispanic, 7% Asian or Pacific Islander, 1% American, 4 other unspecified.
Okay, so hold on. If I carry the 1, add the 3, how many did that give us in the Caucasian field, brother?
About 64%.
That sounds about right.
So minority groups make up about 30% of the FAA.
So then, brother, I'm lost, and I would believe that if I'm lost, then our followers, our listeners would be confused as well, because I'm baffled, brother. How is this have anything to do with DEI?
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. And alas, here we are. But you know what? Someone's got to take the blame. Somebody's got to take the blame.
Here's the thing for me. This whole thing about DEI, right? Using this as the potential for this accident to be caused. First of all, understand that people that were on the helicopter were people that were experienced. They were from the 12th Aviation Battalion. So these were not some people they hired off the street.
No, I think
These were not some people that weren't qualified.
That were training for the first time. I think it came out that these individuals had upwards of 2,000 flying hours, 1,500.
Bingo.
And these specific flying missions are 2-hour flying missions. So it's not like these guys are out on 96-hour missions. No, 2-hour missions. And you've gotten close to 2,000 hours worth of these. You've done this before.
I believe these individuals, we can say, were highly qualified individuals. The individuals that were on the American airline aircraft, qualified individuals. So then I would question and wonder from Brother President Trump.
Hey, my brother. He claims to be a believer in Christ. Means he'd be my brother in Christ.
My brother, so, my dear brother in Christ.
So I will not speculate on his relationship with the good Lord and Jesus. But come on, man, you wildin'.
You big tripping. And I think from your perspective that you said earlier about how this got politicized, they're on this massive rampage with DEI. Right. It is getting wiped out completely. And there's this massive overhaul of trying to erase DEI from society. Yeah. And I have a concern that
singular
that this is being used as a tool to somehow mislead the American people in what truly was the purpose for DEI in the first place. The first thing that's always said is that, well, DEI is basically the enemy of merit.
You know what? Here's what I think is happening.
Okay. So
if you go back to the days of slavery and indentured servitude, where your indentured servants were typically white, poor white classes.
Yeah.
And to be able for them to say, well, look, you're above them. Yeah. You know, so to be able to classify somebody as a DEI hire.
Yeah.
Almost allows them to create that classification over people who are struggling to do the same thing.
Yep.
You're like, oh, yeah, you know, you're here. It sucks. But guess what? You're not the DEI hire.
Yeah.
And I get the whole thing on wanting to hire people based on merit.
But it don't happen. It don't happen.
It's never happened.
It never happens.
Anyone who's been on the job market at this point knows that most people get jobs based on their network and who they know at this standpoint.
Bingo.
So that's not the case anymore. And I guess for me, DEI at this juncture, especially when we talk about employment, is twofold. A, it's making sure that people of diverse backgrounds kind of know your job exists.
Yeah.
But then there's also making sure people get the opportunities to interview.
Yeah. It's like the Rooney rule of the world.
Right. Right. No, that's exactly what it is. It's the Rooney world. And to see people complaining.
Yeah.
When diverse workplaces have been shown to make more money for the company.
Yep.
And allow things to run more efficiently.
Yep.
It's sad. I think they're trying to pile on. But I also think this came with such a timing where Trump was trying to look for a win. Because this was right in the middle of his other executive order that we'll talk about here in a second going awry. But I think this gave him a quote-unquote win.
Yeah.
But it's sad. I mean, it's sad overall, obviously, for the lives. But it's also sad that this is how we're viewing this from a political standpoint.
Yeah. I think that no one can argue we should want diversity.
Yeah.
we should not want. When I think about being productive, when I think about innovation, when I think about creativity, I don't want a room of all of us being the same thing. I don't want to sit in a room where it's all me, all black men trying to be innovative and be creative, because if we all
We all
come
have
from
our
the
blind
same
spots.
background, if we all have the same experience, then how are we driving innovation and creativity when there is somebody else out there that is different from us, that has ideas that I don't know, won't see, can't cultivate, can't develop, that could take me to the next level? This is not a system to say, hey, you need to get some more blacks and some more Hispanics in here. What it's saying is, hey, there are some blacks and Hispanics out here that can really be beneficial to the company. Why don't you give them a chance? Why don't you give them an opportunity in these spaces?
Well, and I think that's the question here, is the implementation of DEI.
Yeah.
Because while I think we talk from a perspective doing it in the best case, standpoint, people
Yeah.
being sincere with the implementation of DEI programs, I would not be shocked that if there were employers around the country, around the
Yeah.
world, who are just like, hey, you guys, these are new DEI targets, make sure you meet them.
Yeah.
And there was no sign of cultivating teams or relationships. These are
Yeah.
our new goals. We need to meet them. And when something's given, that type of message is given from your leadership, it
Yeah.
can sound like, and then trigger the reaction of, I need to go hire 3 black people.
Yeah. Well, I think to that point, it brings the potential for resentment and this tokenism in what they're doing. And I think it really just boils down to this resistance of change. Me and you both are living in the South. And I can see where something like this is needed, because there are establishments that I could bet 100% that if there was an individual that could take a $1 million company to a $1 billion company, but that person was either gay or a person of color, they would rather stay as a $1 billion company and not employ that person, which would elevate the company to a level that it hasn't been at before.
Right.
That is a real thing. That is, and that's the issue that I'm seeing. So when I hear people say that they have such a problem with DEI and it should be merit, well, the reason of DEI is because you don't go off of merit.
Right.
If I'm a person of color or I have a different lifestyle than you, but my qualifications are massively put me in a position that I am very much qualified for. Why don't people get these jobs? And you see the issue. It's just like, we seen with our the I can't remember her name, the black lady that became the Supreme Court justice.
Ketanji. Yeah, Ketanji.
I can't remember her last name.
Bro, we messing up on Black History Month. Ketanji Brown?
I think it is Brown. But we seen again how it was made, because she's a black woman, that it was spent as if almost she wasn't qualified. Listen to some of the talk that we've had from people about Kamala Harris. She's a DEI hire. Like, she is granted, if you agree with her, granted, if you don't believe in her views or her stance on things, to make it seem as though this woman is not qualified is
egregious.
Very egregious, bro. Like, she has had her work, even down to saying, oh, well, because she's had the success, she somehow had to sleep her way to the top. Like, come on, like this.
Not the Joy Taylor treatment.
They gave it a Joy Taylor treatment. Now, think about this: if there was a white woman with the same qualifications, the same achievements, the same accolades as Kamala Harris, would we say anything about her? No.
Well, and I think that's now the discourse that's being had is who is truly the beneficiary of DEI efforts, and it is being said And the reason I say it like this, because I did some work in between pre-op and pre-pod and this, was trying to find a study that said it. I haven't been looking, but I also been traveling, so I haven't dug as deep as I've wanted to. But it is being said that white women tend to be one of the largest beneficiaries of
Bruh.
DEI projects and implementations.
And I've read something about that as well, which is also crazy to me, because I think that a lot of people, when they think about DEI, they think that it just refers to people of color. No,
Yeah.
white women, you are included in this too, because there is a space in this society that you are not welcome in certain rooms. There are certain places, there are certain companies, there are certain corporations that don't believe that a woman, let alone a white woman, should have any position of leadership or power.
Yep.
So you're a part of this. Not saying that you should be given that opportunity because you're a woman. It's saying that you are a white woman who has the qualifications to be in this position, and you should be considered.
Yep.
That is a serious problem. So I think that when you get this, I'm gonna be real with you, Manny. When I hear people, especially like Trump, get up there and blame this on DEI, DEI to me in 2025 is the new N word.
Bruh.
I'm just gonna call it what it
And
is.
the way that
it's
used, the way it's being used, like that, yeah.
It just seems like that I'm gonna give you another one. When people decided to take the word woke from the African American community, we had a meeting.
It had a very specific meeting
in the African American community. We had a very deep understanding of how we use and interpret the word woke.
Yep.
It got white people got a hold of it.
Everything's woke.
And now woke is completely different than what we had interpreted it to be.
My
and
phone won't woke.
now is given this derogatory societal meaning that we used it for something completely different than what is used now. So it's just when Trump got up there and he said that, to me, I really took offense to that, because for one, he didn't have any knowledge to even make that comment. None. And then for JD Vance to double down on it, and then
okay, oh, hold on, JD Vance, and Pete Hegseth are just doing their jobs at this point.
Well, that's why I got a problem with a lot of these people. But
oh yeah. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but at this point, they're just doing their jobs. Their jobs is to parrot what the what the master says. Speaking of indentured servitude, it's ridiculous that and the fact that no one's backed down from the comments.
Yeah,
as soon as it came out that neither of these pilots were DI hires.
Well, you know that nobody's gonna come back and clear it up. You know, we know that ain't gonna happen.
Well, like for neither of these pilots to be African American.
Bro, I want you to understand something. I'm sorry, but can you imagine how offensive that is to the families of these pilots? I believe one of the young men that was on the American aircraft, he became a pilot because his dad was a career pilot. So this is something generational that this young man went to school, went through all these things to become part of something that he looked and revered that his dad made a career out of doing. Can you imagine being a pilot sitting here at home? You just lost your son, for the president of the United States to say that your son was a DEI hire when you know that you paved the way for your son to follow in your footsteps, and he's just lost his life doing something that was a joy to you and your family.
And your son has been doing this for years.
And he is highly qualified in this position. And do you think that Trump's going to give them an apology? Do you think that he's going to come and draw back and pull back from that statement? I think that's highly offensive, man. And that's where I had a problem about how he approached this. Because don't give me a moment of silence, but then you diss my son.
Right.
Like, don't do that, because you don't know. You don't know what my son may have went through to become a pilot. You don't know how much work he's done. You don't know what time that he's put. You don't. That's offensive to me if I'm the father of all the hard work and dedication that I have put
I've
in
done.
the
Yep.
aviation industry. So it's like, come on, Trump. But he gets up there and he says it, and everybody goes along. Yeah, DEI, woke, all this, and it's like, y'all, we gotta be better than this.
Can we apply a level of logic around any
That's
and
it.
all of this?
That's all I'm asking for, Manny. Just a level of logic. That can we just at one time just be proper people? Can we be a decent nation that just for once, bro? Like,
No.
is that too much to ask for?
Yes,
man?
yes, that is absolutely too much to ask for, and I don't want to hear you ask about this again for the next 4 years.
Bro, I'm just like, I can't believe it, man. Like, man. I feel for these people.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand, and we got to have some real conversations. When we get into some of these social things like DEI, when we get into some of these things like this, thank God wokeness has finally just stopped being.
Don't say that too loud.
I know
before it comes roaring back.
I don't need Ron DeSantis to start back up because I can't take it. But we got to have some real conversations about these things, and then
we got to have
educate
some real
ourselves.
honest. We have to have real honest conversations.
Honest conversation. If you're gonna tell me that DEI is bad, then tell me how you plan on being
unbatting
better.
it.
Thank you. If DEI is bad, then tell me. Be honest and say that what you're doing. You don't want certain people in certain rooms, and let it be known. Let it be known. Don't try to mask it as where people should be hired for their merit. If you don't hire people for merit, say that I don't want these people. I don't care that they're qualified. They're not going to work here for my company. And it is what it is. Be real about what you're trying to be or who you are. Don't try to mask it. Don't try to act like, oh, this is forcing me to hire black people, but I would hire black people, or I would hire white women, or I would hire people of color. But y'all are forcing me to do it. Why don't you just let me do it on my own? You don't want to do it anyway.
And look, to stay on the topic of work engagement, let's step away from DEI for a little bit. Not too far away. Let's keep it close. But more and more as things progress, our corporations are being grabbed and pushed because not only do you have this effort with DEI, you're also seeing salary transparency efforts. Hey, what y'all paying everybody?
Yep.
Is there fairness in what we pay? Affinity groups that help also internally monitor this and really start. So employers are starting to be pushed on this.
Yep.
To make sure other things stay in check.
Yep.
So it's almost like, hey, if some of the employers are just like, well, if we can stop the biggest effort, then we can all quietly work on stomping out some of these smaller efforts.
Yeah.
Because how does salary transparency work now as an organization when I look across and I see one of my coworkers who just started, who doesn't have as much experience as me, making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than me? Well, then you got a problem in the workplace.
Yep. And that is that, believe it or not, happens more than people want to admit that it does.
Yep.
It has a bearing. There are some places that sharing that information is calls for termination.
Right.
So, I hated that response to it. And really, the whole rollout of this, I wish that we would just allow the proper investigations to take place. They're still notifying families. I think at this current moment.
Yeah, right now.
They have not recovered all the bodies. Because I think now they're at the point where they're saying that they can't. And first of all, let me say this. Shout out to these responders. I should have said that earlier. My apologies.
Yeah.
But shout out to those responders because I believe that once they figured out what had taken place, they were on
They
it
got people in the water almost
all the way
immediately.
from Virginia up to as high as Maryland. I mean, they got all hands on deck. I even remember watching it when they were doing live coverage, and they were like at one part of the river, and then I guess they kind of found the location that was more closer to where they believed everything fell, and it was like a mad dash. Everybody like packed up and like moved further down the river to get to where they believe everything was at. So I want to say shout out to those responders because this is dangerous for them. There's fuel in the water.
Oh yeah.
There's debris. There's I'm sure sharp objects.
It's night.
It's nighttime, so I mean the visibility, and I think they were saying that was also making efforts hard because it's dark, it's cold. The water, I believe, at the time was near freezing.
Near freezing.
So they're trying to figure this out. You got the current that you got to worry about. There was a lot. So shout out to these first responders for trying to do the best that they can, but they're still trying to recover bodies. They haven't recovered all the bodies. I think they've gotten to a point now where they're like, okay, we're going to have to start moving
the debris. We're actually move the hull and the fuselage because I think
so
three were on the airplane still.
Yeah. So they're having to do that. So, allow these things to happen. Let the NTSB do the work that they need to do. I believe at this point now, I think the final black box has been recovered.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's just the nature of Trump to try to be the first person to control the narrative and say, to be the lead of it. But I just feel like this wasn't a moment to do something like this. Allow this to take place. Families again still are being notified. There are some people who don't know if their loved ones have been recovered or not. It's. I wish the attention that he had when he came down to North Carolina and acted like he cared so much about Western Carolina people and told them how he was going to do all these things. That same level of care, I wish he would have showed it in handling this situation.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It just was different. Yeah. It was different. Now I will say now in true Trump fashion, in all of this, he did piss me off. But then he made me laugh.
Us a joke.
He gave me a joke. Because when the lady asked him, was he going to visit the site of where the crash took place, and he was like, I'm going to the area. I don't know about the site. And he said, where's the site? In the water? And then the lady kept talking. And when he hit her with where you want me to go swimming? I'm not gonna lie. I laughed about 10 minutes of that. And this is why we don't need to be anywhere in the White House doing any press, because the way I would have bust out laughing, I would have not been able to contain it. I laughed for 10 minutes straight because that was hilarious.
Look, Trump would have looked at you and be like, "Hey, my man got it."
Trump would be like, "Yeah,
he got it."
Old brother, I have learned something, and this is how I know we would have got on the good side of Trump if that had happened. Bro. Because one thing that old white people love is when you laugh at their jokes.
Bro, old people in general.
I've learned it in sales. I've learned it in every shape, form, or fashion of any industry that I've worked in up until this point. Old white men love when they tell a joke and you laugh about it. And I know that had we been in that room and laughed at Trump, we might have got lunch with the president that day.
Bro, we'd have been the star reporters moving forward.
Bro, oh yeah, we would have definitely moved up our seats in the press room. He was like, yeah, I need them close to the front. But that had me crying. So, I couldn't stay mad at Trump for long because he one thing about it, I love a good joke, and I've always said, and I think I've said here on the pod, George Bush was my favorite funny president.
Right.
But I think Trump might be number one.
Because George Bush was funny at times where it was almost inappropriate.
Yeah.
Almost inappropriate, but still appropriate enough for you to be funny.
Bush was just one of those ones that caught himself in funny situations.
And responded funnily.
And he just responded how he responds, and it was funny. So the fact that you can go on YouTube and type in George Bush funniest moments, and there are tons of videos like 25-minute long videos of this man just doing stupid stuff. He will always be. I mean, we saw him at the inauguration. He was sitting there looking crazy, like.
Tell you.
So Bush was my favorite, but Trump is the ultimate troller, and he might be my number one. But
well, I'm going to say, I don't want to say put a bow on this because we'll still be talking about this for the next several months. Yeah. I think this crash allowed Trump to pivot conversation drastically because he had a busy and not a great week.
This week
not a great week. I mean, if you guys listened to the episode last week, we literally, it had just happened as we were recording. We were talking about the tariffs on Colombia.
Bruh.
So as we record right now, we now have tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. Obviously, the DEI stuff, the executive order to prohibit transgender individuals from participating in the military.
Now, that one I'm confused on, Manny, because I'm assuming this is going to kick out the transgenders in the military, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
You know what? Now, hold on. Pause. Because that question underscores the issue with every single thing that Trump, I won't say every, but a lot of the things that Trump has done in his 2 weeks back in the office, that he says something and the basic instructions on what we need to do with said something. It was like,
bro, it ain't clear. He said, bro, I think this is why the simplicity of Trump is a problem. And a lot of his supporters
are simple. They enjoy the simplicity.
They enjoy this. They enjoy the simplicity of Trump. Trump said something that is simple and easy to register, that they understand that simple thing. But then the problem is, just like I have a problem with some of his supporters, is they don't understand what's under the umbrella of that. If I say, hey, we're not going to eat any more red meat, and you say, yeah,
what about chicken?
You're not eating no more red meat. But what are we eating in place of that? Because we still got to eat. And I say, I don't know what else we're going to eat, but hey, we ain't eating red meat. So then do we eat chicken? Are we cool with this?
See, I think that's too generous, because I think some of these orders are not, we're not eating any more red meat. It's we're not eating we're not eating any more meat. And then you have the questions, does fish count? What about poultry? What about meat byproducts?
There you go.
Can I eat veggie ribs?
Yep, there you go.
If there's a vegan version of the McRib, could I have that? Like,
yep. Thank you for clearing that up for me.
Yeah, the basic questions we don't really know.
We don't know. So that is the problem, because here's my thing. If you are kicking the transgenders out of the military, recruitment is already low. So what is your idea of replacing the people that you kicked out when recruitment is already low? And newsflash, I don't know if the government or Trump knows this, but these Gen Z kids, they ain't going to the military.
Not at all.
The days of you graduating from high school and you got about 30 people saying, what are their plans after high school? Oh, I'm going to the military. That ain't happening nowhere near the level that it was happening when me and you graduated high school.
Right, and they were already talking about the decline at that standpoint.
It was declining then. I graduated high school almost 20 years ago.
Man, I remember in high school, there was a recruiter from the Marines.
Yeah.
Say, oh, you can swim? Cool. Yeah, we want to get you in the sir, I am 300 pounds.
Bruh.
Oh, we'll get you down to weight.
No, you won't.
He looked at me, with so much confidence. Oh, yeah, we'll get you down to weight.
Bruh.
How?
Bruh.
Within time? Oh,
I remember
absolutely.
I had a thought in my younger years of going to the military, and I was looking at, I believe it was either the Air Force or Navy, I can't remember which one. And I go through the requirements of the things I would have to do, and I'm like, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. Then it was a chart that had your height and your weight. And I looked at that chart, and I'm about 5'11", 5'11 and a half. It said that I needed to be 145 pounds. I said, bruh, ain't no way.
Bro, where are you going to take this weight? Where? Like, are you going to cut off my leg?
Bruh, I could get in shape. But bruh, you know me. Do you know
Bro,
how crazy I would look at 145 pounds?
bro,
Bro,
do you know how crazy I would look at 160? Bro,
bruh, ain't no way.
the
So
way
I'm,
my family would start coming around acting, because
bruh,
you know,
you know how,
black
yes, sir.
family loves to say, you look sick.
Bruh, I got hit with that one, bruh. I lost a few years back, man. I had lost some weight, and I remember I came home and my grandma had pulled me to the side, like,
You all
you all
right?
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, Granny, I'm just,
I'm
I
just
got a
trying.
warehouse job. I'm working out 2 times a week, 2 times a day, and I'm eating. Oh, all right, baby. You look a little,
You
you look a little, little slim
little,
around your waist. Like, no, and I probably still at that point was probably 200 pounds
bro.
away from meeting the Navy or the Air Force's requirement, and my family was about to put sickness on me then. Like, bro, ain't no way in the world. But if the recruitment of the military is low, right, and you're kicking these people out, where are you going to make this up at? Now, granted, that might not be the case, but to your point, we have no clarity, so we don't know what we're talking about.
But I'm gonna tell you what they about to do. Tinfoil hat. Community.
But
Go ahead and
put your hat on,
here we go. We going in. They're going to get Tesla robots and load them up with AI
bruh.
and go find the 7,000 best Call of Duty players in the world
And let them control them,
and let them go to work.
bruh.
See, that's why I was like, look, we need to be good at Call of Duty, but we don't need to be good.
Bruh. I have a little less of a tinfoil hat idea of what they're going to do, but it still may be a stretch. And hear me out.
Oh, here we go.
This might have this. I might be on to something, but I don't know. I believe the way that they will address recruitment is when they get rid of the Department of Education.
I knew this was the route you were going. I was like, are you going to be funny or depressing? And you were going to be depressing. Go ahead, finish.
When they get rid of the Department of Education and they send education back to the states that have it, and primarily your more rural communities, those people in those states will suffer drastically from the state being able to be in control of the education, and those people will not have the necessary tools to get a further education. So the only option they will have will be trade or military. They're making it where that's your only options now. That ain't the case now. You can be from backwoods, whatever, and if you want to go to college, there's a pathway for you to do so. But that is because the Department of Education has made a unified line in our nation of where the standards need to be.
This is our minimum guarantee. An American will know X.
Yep. But when you take that away, and now let's say, I don't know, Mississippi, a state that is ranked low in education. Well, when the state is in control of it now, they're only going to put their resources in the areas that are probably less rural and not as poor. So then all the ones that live in the poor, low income regions, you will not have access to resources that will make a pathway provided for you for a higher education. So then in order for you to either make money, what do? You either going to have to go get a trade, or you're gonna have to go to the military. So this would increase the pool of people for recruitment.
Or go work at the Pink.
Or go work at the Pink. But there ain't nobody to give no money at the Pink.
Ain't nobody there.
So then now I'm telling you, that's what I think is going to end up happening. That's the way that they increase the pool for recruitment, so that they can replace people within the military to get the numbers back up.
Well, let's go ahead and expand on that. That's not only how you address that, but that's how you address manufacturing.
Bingo. Bingo.
I now suddenly have this giant pool of prospects to pull from.
They can't get a higher education, but I can teach them how to use a machine, and I can teach them how to shoot a gun. And most of them already know how to do one of the two.
Yep.
Bruh. And that's how we make America great again.
You're not supposed to be the one with the depressing side of politics. That's my job. You're supposed to be here for the laughs.
I know, bro. But I'm telling you, I had an epiphany, and I was like, I see what they trying to do, bro. I get it.
It's not wrong.
No,
it's not wrong. It's right there in front of us.
Yeah, but I don't think so. When I see people say, "Yeah, get rid of the Department of Education because I want more control," you don't control of what?
Right.
You in your rural county, you about to get the short end of the stick.
There is a concerted effort as things get more expensive to find more efficient ways for companies and governments to do things.
Yep.
So I think over the next 4 years, we're going to see this kind of stuff expand. We'll see expansion on the types of work that prisoners are allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be conversations around that. But Trump had a busy week sending those off. But all that being said, I don't know what the transgender members of our military are going to do. And then I'll pause for a second. Why? Why kick them out? Why? These people want to go to the military.
I'm assuming that if you're in the military, you're doing something. I've never met somebody that was in the military that won't doing something. Like, so it's not like you got this overwhelming number of people that are in the military, but
playing shoots and ladders and Uno,
bruh, but that ain't qualified,
right?
Because if they not qualified, it ain't their fault. It's
they're gonna get them qualified before the U.S. is gonna make sure people can shoot before they go ahead and throw them out on the battlefield.
Last time I checked, I did not know that people were joining the military just to get the benefits, but weren't doing anything. No. I could have sworn that people still go through basic training, still have to pass certain levels of tests, still have supervisors that hold them accountable to the job and responsibilities they do, still have lieutenants, still have colonels, still have sergeants that are still upholding. Last I checked, we still have one of the best, if not the best military in the world. And you want me to believe that we're not anymore because you got 5% of people in the military are transgender?
There's still countries that come train with us.
Bruh, why are we acting like 80% of our military is in the LGBTQ community? Why are we acting like the transgenders are making our military weak? Like, whether you transgender or not, that joker still can shoot that AK-47.
And why aren't we talking about things that are making our military weak, like losing billions upon billions of dollars and having no idea where it's at?
Bingo. But we'll get that situated because the guy now in charge of it has never passed an audit, so he will make sure that he can pass them now. So we should be just fine.
Bro, I can't believe Pete's in charge of this.
Well, hey, I mean, he's already been to work too. He's got rid of DEI efforts, so they won't be acknowledging Black History Month and all the other months that we have that I can't never remember. But hey,
but one of the other things I want to hit that Trump did this week that I believe the plane accident gave cover because we've kind of stopped talking was the federal funding freeze. So, yeah, because we're not talking about that anymore.
No, we're not.
That came and went, and so basically, what Trump pretty much tried to do is he tried to lock down, and pause all the obligations and disbursements of federal financial assistance until they were able to review it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the executive order. To what we pointed out earlier, didn't no one know what that actually meant.
Set the country in a shambles.
Right. Everyone's
I
like,
can't get my food stamps. Bro,
Right.
people, I see people crying on social media like, I voted for Trump. Why is he doing this to me?
Right.
You must then get a memo that this was season 1 of FAFO.
and you, ma'am, are in the FO part.
You in episode 1. whether you want to or not.
So there were advocacy groups that were confused. There were states were confused. Local governments were confused. And then what you saw coming out of that is the administration said, oh, well, it's clear what we're trying to do. And everyone's like, no, it's not.
Bro, how you tell me that there's clarity and I don't see clarity? Like
I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
I'm legally blind.
Right. So then they eventually, this led for them canceling the executive order or rescinding it, but only for them publicly to be like, but it's not canceled though.
Bro,
but I have this piece of paper here that says it's canceled.
Manny, I was so confused because I'm like, oh, they canceled it. And then the White House was like, no, we didn't cancel it. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I swear y'all just canceled it.
And in between that, before they canceled it, a judge came out and said, nah, we canceling this because you can't do that. Bruh. And it's true. President can't do that. That is all the issue around funding and how we fund things. That all comes from Congress. Like, you just can't say, nah, we're not doing that. Like,
nah, bro. You don't have that. There you go, trying to be a king again.
Trump.
Go sit down, King Vitamin.
Trump is just at this point. I now think Trump's strategy is I'm just going to keep trying to do different things to see if they say anything. If they don't say anything, cool. We'll keep doing it this way. But if they do say something, we'll be like, oh, okay. Well, we'll change it.
I'm gonna keep throwing crap at the wall and see what sticks. But I think this is why you saw a lot of Biden putting a lot of federal judges in place because, a lot of people are going to be like, we're not doing this. Mm-hmm. We're not doing this. But, a lot of those things did give him a blanket over some of the things he had going on. And at this point, now we have our tariffs. Canada and Mexico have responded. They in cahoots with one another, so this is going to be interesting.
They throwing tariffs on us.
So, and that's another thing that, he was asked, what in these executive orders is he doing to help bring these prices down? He didn't really give an answer, obviously, but, I think the truth of the matter is that, his supporters believe that, he came out at his rallies and he said before the election that, the price is going to go down day one. And we all knew that's not possible. But his supporters believed him. And now he's saying, well, I think everybody understands that there's going to be a little bit of hurt for a little bit. There's going to be a little pressure, a little pains for a little bit. So basically, them prices ain't coming down. Y'all get ready. And he's gambling with these tariffs. And if it works, then hey.
Look, I believe that Donald Trump got asked by his advisors, how are you going to do all this? And how many different routes do you see where this is successful?
Yeah.
Trump sat at his desk at the Oval Office with the Doctor Strange face when he was when he was looking through the multiverse to try to see which pathway.
Yep.
And he looks at JD and holds up one finger. There is one path.
There's only one path that this works.
This works. Everything else fails.
I want our listeners to understand that this is a major gamble what Trump is doing.
Well, and as the responses come out, Canada has already responded.
Yeah.
With a 25%. So there's going to be a 25% tariff. Things that are on the list. There's an expansive list.
Oh, okay.
But fruits and vegetables, dairy products, coffee and tea, clothing, including gloves, scarves, and footwear, alcohol such as wine and beer, toilet paper, and various household items such as utensils, refrigerators, and water heaters.
Ooh, was lumber up there?
It is not on this list.
Okay.
Literally
my
just
concern
full.
was,
oh, the building.
Yeah, because if it's on lumber and we get a large amount of lumber from Canada, which Trump just said, well, we don't need to get lumber from Canada. We got enough forests here. So,
plywood is listed on there.
Okay, plywood is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was wondering how that impact would look in the housing market going forward. But we'll have to see. But I want our listeners.
Wood, and then wood.
So wood is up there.
Wood is on there. Yep. Mahogany, teak, light red, Marinati, white Luan, Arco. Yeah. Maple, cherry. It sounds like I need to, after we finish recording, go ahead and go pick up some maple syrup so I can have have my pancakes in the morning.
Bro, I just want our listeners to understand that this is a dangerous game. Now there is, like Manny has said, there is one pathway where this may work out. But if you've watched Marvel and you've seen the Avengers, you understand. They had one chance for it to work, and hey, it almost didn't. Thanos almost got that snap off. A second time.
And here's the question is, I'm looking at Congress now.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest about Congress. In Congress, you have over 535 of the world's most ambitious people.
Yeah.
Y'all going to let Trump treat you like that?
Apparently.
So it'll be interesting to see how this relationship evolves, because I know there are Congress people who, obviously all the Dems were upset, but there were Republicans that were equally upset that like, what's happening here? Yeah. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do this. Why didn't you? So.
But he told, which is crazy because he told him he was going to do it. I mean.
Yeah, but I think everyone thought he was more prepared. Like some of the stuff would come out a little bit clearer, and it is coming out as
you would expect.
As we would expect from a super old man writing legislative policy. Like it reads like they're not talking. It reads like he's just moving. Like it sounds like an idea pops in his head, and he's like, "Yeah." Because you said in the pre-pod, how did Canada and Mexico walk out with 25% tariffs, but China has 10?
Yeah, exactly. But China's our enemy. And Canada and Mexico are supposed to be our friends.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would charge my friends more than I would charge my enemy, but.
Well, and here's what we're seeing. So Canada's ambassador to the U.S. says, we're hopeful that they don't come into effect on Tuesday. We're ready to continue to talk to the Trump administration about that.
So Canada's are going to go into effect Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep.
Okay.
Give us some time to see how froggy people want to act.
Yeah, but I think that I believe in 2018 there was some tariff situation that we had with Canada before, and you know they didn't back down. So
Christina Freeland, she's Canada's former finance minister, but she's also running to be the new prime minister, came out and said, we don't want to have this fight, but we won't lose it.
I like them words. I like them words.
And I was like, okay.
Hey, look, now this is where, you know, Trump got to be careful, because, you know, Trump does have a bully type of persona about him. And I know that he's also has an ego and he's arrogant, and he don't like taking L's.
What I remind everyone is the U.S. still has the big joker. At the end of the day, we are the only country that has shown to the world we bout that life.
Yeah.
So I hope we also don't get there, but I hope this all gets wrapped up at some point tomorrow.
Man, one can only hope. But it's been a busy week, and I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it. We were talking about the helicopter crash. I mean, the collision that happened at Reagan. But I also want to acknowledge what took place in Philadelphia, and I believe we mentioned it at the opening of the episode. But our condolences to those families as well too, because with the social media age, we get to see everything and how it happens before the media even releases it. And that, again, I believe it was 7 people in that tragedy, that medevac that took place. It was a child that was on board.
I think my understanding right now is that child had just finished having surgery and was being medevaced out. So if that's true, even adding to the tragedy, to having tough. Survived that,
and they're from it was a high level impact, so obviously there were no survivors, but I think even getting the debris cleaned up and even locating the black box to figure out what even went on may be very difficult for them, because I believe they said that a lot of the pieces were fragments, so it was high level impact, and I believe the debris field spans about 4 or 5 blocks. So, it's just another tragedy. And I don't know what in the world is going on.
Yeah.
For this to happen twice in a week is nuts. Excuse me. And I'm sure that our tinfoil hat community is going crazy with this right now. And I don't blame them, because it's crazy. But just prayers for all those that have been impacted and involved. And hopefully, Lord willing, this week we can have a tragedy-free week. I think we've had enough this past week to last us a little while.
Bruh, so, I cannot echo that same sentiment any louder than you have, bro. We
don't need no more losses chill. Right now. We don't need nowhere else.
We just need to chill. Like, look, we just need to chill.
Yeah, bro. But we will see what happens. So that leads us right into our next segment, which is the pickle of the week. And no, it is not the U.S. again, even though I can make a very valid argument why it should be the U.S. But we are in our pickle of the week.
We got your pickle. We got your pickle. We got your pickle.
All right. Pickle of the week.
Who's in the brine?
Our pickle of the week is none other than former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez.
Oh, Bobby.
Mr.
Damn
Bobby.
It, Bobby.
Mr. Bobby from New Jersey. If you're not familiar, on this past week, on the 29th of January, Bobby was sentenced to 11 years in prison following his conviction of multiple felony charges, including bribery and acting as a foreign agent. He was found guilty in accepting gold bars, cash, and luxury items in exchange for political favors benefiting Egypt, Qatar, and certain New Jersey businessmen. This conviction is marked that the first time a sitting member of Congress was found guilty of acting as a foreign agent. Eric Adams somewhere sweating.
11 years.
11 years, bro.
That's a long time.
He came out and it was funny. Well, funny to me, not funny to him. But Bobby came out and was like, man, I see what President Trump talking about. The justice system has been weaponized against me, and this is unfair, and he plans to appeal. And I said to myself, man, it's funny how people always say the system jacked up when they the ones that did something in the first place.
When it be you.
I want you to know you deep in it when you accepting gold bars, bro. First of all, what do you even do with these? I don't even. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a gold bar," I don't even know what to do with it. What do you do with gold bars? What do you? I mean, I know places take cash, Apple Pay,
Look, I'm calling
PayPal.
1-800. I'm calling 1-800. We buy gold.
Right? Do I take it to the pawn shop? Like,
Right, like
what do I do with a gold bar?
I don't feel like you can take it to a regular pawn shop. I can't go to like Easy Pawn, but like, here you go. Let's see. I think gold is going for $2,000 an ounce. So I think this is about four. I need 600,000. Well, what do you do?
Bobby, you first of all, you did it. Like, let's stop. I can't stand when somebody get caught and then say I was treated unfairly. No, you treated it yourself unfairly by committing a crime. You shouldn't have done what you did. But I mean, 11 years now. Let's be real. He gonna do 11 years in Club Fed. We all know Club. Well, hopefully,
for him,
Club Fed is nice. But if he got to go somewhere like, I don't know, county or something, he might be in a pickle.
Bruh.
But yeah, man, he in a bind, brother, because 11 years. I can't remember his age, but Bobby ain't young.
So I had to go search, like, how did he take enough for it to be worth it? And
I'm gonna say yes. Did he?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, he got a couple for like a little souvenir.
$480,000 in cash.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. He received over $480,000 in cash. Period. Next bullet.
Oh, bro, no, wait a minute.
Sorry. Gold bars worth at least $100,000. Bullet. Other luxury gifts in exchange, and other luxury gifts.
Yeah, bro.
So at least $500,000 in liquid assets. But Bob, you wild.
Bro, you're a politician. Something that you know you ain't supposed to be doing, shouldn't be doing. And if you do it, you know the ramifications of being caught. Why do these politicians dabble in these dealings, knowing that it never works out in their favor?
Well, I think some of it starts off with just general comfort. So Bobby is 71 years old. This man was elected to office, like first ever held office at the age of 20 in 1974.
Jeez.
This man has been man has been in office since 1974.
Bruh. I nowhere near thought of.
Bruh. You've been in office for what, 74, 30, 50 years.
Yeah.
50 years of your life has been in public office. I just don't think thought he was going to get caught. Because he had been a senator since 2006. This man has been a senator for as long as we've been alphas.
Bruh. That's a long time.
That's a long time. I just don't think he got caught. I don't think he thought he got caught, and I thought.
But everybody who thinks that always gets
caught.
The moment that you get that complex that I can't be caught, you always get caught. Frank Lucas thought the same thing too.
I was just about to say Frank Lucas.
So he went to that boxing match with that jacket on, and bam, because he just got too. That is the prime example of having way too much dip on your chip. When you put too much dip on the chip, it always happens, bro.
Every time.
He got 11 years. And he's how old again?
71.
71?
So 91 if he makes it to the other side. 11
years? Bro. That might be.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That's not how math works. I'm sorry. He'd be 82.
82. That's potentially a life sentence.
Potentially at 82.
At 82, that's a life sentence.
But
hey, man, good luck on your appeal. If you wish to kind of share how that process looks for you with the pod, we would most definitely give you the space to come on and share if you would like, Bobby.
I'll make it even better, Bob. If you hear this and you agree to come on the pod, we'll put $5 on your commissary.
Hey, bro, look. Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do $5 each.
Yeah, we can do that.
We might even run it up for a good old 50.
Yeah.
50 on that commissary. Let you get some snacks.
Hey, bro,
for the exclusive with the pod.
Them Welch's fruit snacks and Nutty Buddy. Hey, yeah, bro. Yeah, Bobby, we'll hook you up, man.
We'll hook you up. Come chat with the boys on the pod.
Come let us know, man, how you got yourself in this pickle. But Mr. Bobby, you are our pickle of the week. So, with that being said, we've reached the end of our episode, and at the end of every episode, you guys know we give you our spotlight of the week of things that we will be keeping an eye on in the upcoming week. So, Manny, what you got for us?
And in my category of no one man should have all this power,
bruh.
Elon. So I learned a couple things this week. DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, technically right now is not a department. Right now it is classified as a team that's a part of this administration.
Okay.
So I think that was important. So
yeah,
we know it's not moving with the same type of brevity, at least at this point, as a department. But they have been granted access to the U.S. Treasury's payment system. Now, that payment system is responsible for the distribution of all the federal government's money, including Social Security benefits, Medicare payments, and tax refunds, all handled by this system. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, approved it. But this is now a whole lot of power that they now have access to. So what they're able to really be able to see and analyze is transaction records, receipt details, payment schedules, audit logs, and fraud detection flags. What they can't do, they can't alter payments. So if the government's sending Jeezy $10,000, they can't go. He can't hop in and say $5. They cannot delay or withhold payments. So I saw tinfoil community get hyped up like, oh, he's going to be able to stop payments. He's not going to be able to do that, at least at this point. And they cannot leak classified information. We'll see how that piece goes.
Okay.
So the big concern that is floating around there is that some lawmakers are concerned that DOGE may be able to really be able to see into Treasury policies and be able to start influencing there. And then allegedly David Limbrink, a top Treasury official, has reportedly stepped down over this access. So Elon's big thing is that he says DOGE found evidence that payments were going to fraudulent or terrorist-linked accounts, but there's not been any proof of this. So it is unprecedented that a private group has been given this type of access and oversight, but we'll see what this means in terms of accountability and ultimately what happens because of this. But that is my spotlight of the week.
Man, that sounds dangerous, man. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but we will definitely see. As far as my spotlight, I had two, but I'm gonna talk on just one of them and just share the other. But it was reported that on February the 1st, the Democratic National Committee held its election, and they have elected Ken Martin as their new chair during the party's winter meeting at the National Harbor in Maryland. So Ken Martin, who previously led the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, he's been leading that since 2011, secured the necessary votes that he needed, defeating Ben Wickier.
Wickier, yeah.
The Wisconsin Democratic Party chair, which I don't know why he was running, because you didn't bring nothing to the table for Wisconsin.
You got nothing.
You didn't bring nothing to the table.
We invited you to the Super Bowl and you lost, sir.
Bro, you lost. He only Ben had 134 and a half votes, and
how the heck? See,
I don't know how the half vote was.
Dems be getting on my nerves with how y'all be voting on stuff.
Yeah,
how do you get it?
When I saw the number, I was like, okay, maybe that was a typo, but no, it was a half vote. I don't know how that worked. Maybe they were conjoined twins that were on that voted. I don't know.
Stop. And this is why people be always complaining about voting integrity with the Dems.
How you get a half a vote?
How you get a half a vote?
Yeah,
I need how are you able to allocate votes like that?
Bruh. And Ken ended up getting 276 and a half out of the 428. So in his acceptance speech, Martin emphasized the need to unify the party and focus on winning elections at every level of government. Well, yeah, you need to. He outlined a new framework for the DNC based on 3 pillars, which is build to win, build to expand, and build to last. He, again, like I said, led the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So, I mean, I know we talked about in a previous episode about how they got to get their coalition back together, and maybe he may have some insight. He also highlighted the need to rebrand the Democratic Party to appeal more to the working class and poor Americans, countering perceptions that the party primarily represents the wealthy elite. I believe I heard somebody on the podcast say that.
I mean, you know,
I believe you, brother. You were spot on, brother. I believe brother Ken might be listening to the pod.
Hey, brother Ken, same offer. Well, actually, we'll make it a little bit better. We'll give you a $50 donation to the party. But yeah, come chat with us on the pod. But.
Yeah, bro. They look to be rebranding. They had a young man up there named Malcolm Kenyatta, I believe his name was, out of Pennsylvania. He was a Pennsylvania state representative. I like the young man. He was speaking pretty strong, man. And he's I believe the vice president. And the vice president, there's 3 vice presidents, which I got to get some understanding of that.
Usually when you start seeing a structure like that, every vice president has a specific responsibility area.
Okay, so that makes
So if you look at the young Republicans, there's a chair and co-chair, but then there's also several regional vice chairs.
Okay,
every vice chair had a region that they were over. It's probably comparable.
Okay,
if not the same.
Well, one of the new vice presidents will may be an interesting player in the rebranding of the party and what the Democrats do going forward. Along with Malcolm, there is a 24-year-old individual by the name of David Hogg, and David Hogg is a gun control activist
from Florida Parkland shooting.
Yep. He's a survivor of the 2018 Parkland high school shooting. So their appointments reflect the party's effort to bring in a fresh perspective and address key issues such as gun control. So we will see what the Democrats do, because we've talked about it before. They gotta rebrand and they gotta do it quick. And some of the things that I saw, I believe he had his event at the Harbor, and it was one of the little sayings that he had was "Yes, we can," like kind of the play on "Yes, we can." And I'm like, okay, well we talked in pre-show. Man, it was like here we go again.
They cried in Obama.
Then they had it where there was some fish that were getting joined together to make a big fish, and the big fish was trying to chase behind and eat the little fish, which had on a Trump wig. And I'm like, okay, like Trump's done after this year, so I don't know why we're taking that approach. But hopefully some fresh perspective. We will see if the rebranding happens. You got some, they're saying exactly what we've been saying the problem is with the Democratic Party. So let's see how they do it. And if they fail ultimately again at doing so. So that is the one spotlight that I will cover. And I do want to mention that we should keep our eye on the new Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek, because the U.S. government is currently investigating them on the fact of their acquiring of advanced AI chips. Apparently, they may have acquired them through
Singapore.
Yeah, through Singapore, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates. So, hopefully we will see how that plays out, because I believe we talked about this earlier in earlier episodes, that this startup has kind of came and they've been able to do what they need to do at a fraction of what some have believed that OpenAI and others would be able to accomplish. We will see with that when more details come out in that investigation. But those are my spotlights of the week.
Man.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, that is the end of episode 5. We got a pretty lengthy one on you guys today, but I think it's been a lengthy week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Happy Black History Month to everybody.
Black History Month. To all those that are observing, love our people, love you all, but most of all, we love all our listeners. For sticking in there with us, listening, engaging with us here at the pod, and all hearts and minds clear, man. You got anything, brother? You good?
No, and once again, shout out to Murray's hair
shout out
pomade.
to Murray.
100 years.
100 years. Shout out to Murray. So, as we always say here at the podcast, if don't nobody else love you, just know us here at Pardon the Politics. We love each and every one of you, no matter what side of the aisle you on, what views you may have politically. At the end of the day, we love each and every one of you that tune in. So, that is our episode. Take care, world, and we will see you the next episode. Take care.
Take care, y'all.